y'all, it's Dale with Old Southern Kitchen and Garden, and today we are making meatloaf and gravy. Now, don't be shocked when you see it. This is not a red meatloaf. This is a southern meatloaf that comes with a gravy, and we're going to be serving it with some garlic mashed potatoes. So, the first thing about making our meatloaf is it's a combination. Whether we're making meatloaf or meatballs, we love using a mixture of ground beef and ground pork. So this is about a little over 2 pounds of ground beef we have here. And we hate doing dishes, so we're putting it in the pan like this. Then we're going to mix in the pork, and that is about 1.5 pounds of pork. We're going to ask Chuck to get me some gloves if he can. He is off camera over there. And while he's grabbing me some gloves, you see I have here 1 onion diced finely and 1 bell pepper diced finely. I have a teaspoon of salt. We try to cut down on our salt usage. Teaspoon of pepper, teaspoon of seasoning, just all-purpose seasoning, and 2 teaspoons of garlic. We also have our homemade beef broth right here, and in the beef broth with it, we mixed in a teaspoon or 2 of just a brown gravy mix. I think it's like McCormick or somebody like that. And the last ingredient will be that onion soup mix. So, now that I have the gloves, once I can get them on, there we go. We are going to mix the ground beef and the ground pork together, if I don't break the table. Get it all mixed in. You can totally do this in a separate bowl. That was my idea, but Chuck was like, no, make it all in there. So I might be wearing this meatloaf before we even actually eat it. So, I've got it somewhat mixed together, so we're going to go ahead and put our seasonings in. And we're going to put in our Lipton soup mix, or whatever brand of soup mix. Now we can actually get to mixing. Chuck is off camera, so say hello, Chuck.
Hi, guys.
And don't worry, y'all, we'll see Chuck cooking again very soon, because he's actually going to be making the garlic mashed potatoes we're going to be serving with this. And he's going to make that as soon as I'm out of the way making this. So, let's see. We don't have to mix it too good, because we still have to add our onions and peppers. And Chuck could do this much easier than me because he's much more coordinated than me. Oops, see? Boom. Do you think I used too much onions and peppers, Chuck?
No, if you leave some on the outside, it'll mix into the gravy.
Good thing I cleaned the table before. This is a disaster. See why I needed a big old top bowl? Like one of those huge bowls?
You just want the onions and peppers incorporated. Unlike most meatloafs, we don't add a binder to it. The meat can actually bind itself, which leaves you a juicier meatloaf. So you're getting 100% meat and not breadcrumbs and eggs and...
Yep. That is great for those tomato-based meatloafs or whatever, but we just choose not to use them for our brown gravy meatloafs. Now, sometimes we will use a binder when we're doing the meatballs. Basically, the same kind of recipe we do with meatballs. They're called, if I'm not mistaken, Chuck can correct me, boulettes.
That's it. It's an old Cajun term meaning little balls.
Yeah, we'll be seeing a video for that, definitely. So, and boom, through the magic of YouTube, we now have 2 meatloafs. They multiplied. No, what it was there was too much meatloaf for this one. So we took some out off camera, made a separate little baby meatloaf over here, and as we always do, we share food with coworkers, our family. So we're going to have this one for other people and the leftovers of this one too. So now that the meatloaves are formed, we are taking our beef broth that we mixed in a little bit of, gravy mix with it. We're going to pour it over the top of the meatloaf. And some over the top of the little baby meatloaf. And then more back in here. Let's see. Don't y'all just hate it when y'all tell somebody something and they don't listen to y'all? That's what I always say about Chuck. He don't listen to me, so... We are done with this, and now all we do is pop this into a 350 degree oven for about an hour. So that's what we're going to do now, and then I'll meet you back when it's done. Howdy, we're back. As you can see, the meatloaf has come out of the oven, and it's looking delicious, but there's one step left. Come on in. As you can see, there's some grease in here from the ground beef. Anytime you're cooking a fatty meat like ground beef, sausages, things like that, you're gonna have grease that comes out from the meat. So I want to teach you a quick and easy way to get rid of this grease in case you don't have one of those fancy little things that separates the grease from the gravy. I have one, but it's just much easier to use this trick that Chuck taught me, and all you need is paper towels. We're going to set the paper towel on top of the gravy. As you can see, when I pull up this paper towel in a minute, the paper towel is going to have soaked up all the grease, but not the gravy. Now, you may have to do this a few times depending on your cut of meat. So see, it's got a lot of grease and no gravy, so you need to have a roll of paper towels handy when you do this. And this was not done because I used some really inexpensive kind of meat. The ground beef I used for this was 80-20, which, if I'm not mistaken, other than 90-10, that's the highest, ground beef percentages you can use. So you just simply do this all around the roast, or the meatloaf, or the sausages and gravy, and you see it's going to pull up a bunch of all that grease. And we're just going to have to do this a few times because I'm about to bring you back in a few minutes, just so you can see the difference between a while ago and now after I get this one done. Let's see. And we're going to flip it over. We're over here to get some on this side. Boom, as you can see, it's getting darker, so we're pulling up more gravy and less grease, and that's when it's time to stop. Now, there's a little bit more I could do, but it doesn't hurt to have some grease in there. We just don't want the amount we had in the beginning. And so you see, it is a much better gravy now with much less grease than it was our first time, because the grease is going to cook out of the meat. So I'm going to get this plated up as soon as the mashed potatoes are done, and then I will show you the complete and final product. Thanks. Okay, so we're back, guys. The meatloaf is out of the oven. The garlic mashed potatoes are done. We even had time to whip up some garlic parmesan bread, so come dig in. Chuck did a great job on those mashed potatoes, and I helped. I went out to the garden and I cut the chives for it, and that is the finished dish. So, thank y'all for stopping by today, and I hope you try this meal. And for all the recipes and stuff, check the link down below. Chuck's going to put the recipes for what we did down there under each video, and we hope you give this a try and like it. And thanks for stopping by, y'all.